Ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. I just got done witnessing this Broncos Browns game, and I think it was a good NFL game. Terrible for fantasy, unless you had Dearness Johnson. So speaking of the Browns, I just want to tell a quick story of how my day was going. So, hectic day, dogs driving me crazy, barely get the video done. I'm like, I got to answer fantasy questions. I'm setting my lineup frantically. Everyone knows today, this week is Bipocalypse. Also, it is IR friendly week. Everyone's injured. And I'm like, oh, crap. I don't even have time to answer fantasy questions. So I'm frantically setting my lineups. I'm going through it. I got to take a huge dump all of us. I'm like, this cannot wait. I mean, if I got to take it at 5:20, 21 p.m., East Coast.
It's like the stomach just got the sword jabbed in it.
I mean, it's coming out. Yeah. The turtle's speeding up. Like, it's not even a turtle. It's just coming out. And
slithering.
I gotta take a dump. And I'm like, oh crap, kickoff's at 5:20, 8:20 for you East Coasters. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start setting it up on my phone. I got it. I'm going through this is how I set up. So this is going to apply to other people. Like, just because I'm super busy doesn't mean, there's procrastinators here. There's other busy people here. When you're setting your lineup on Thursday, only look at Thursday players. That's the fastest way to do it, especially if you're in 20 leagues like me. I don't know who else is in 20 leagues, but I am. So just look at Thursday players. If you're on a computer, it's easier. You just go Command F, Windows F, whatever. Search for Thursday. So I'm going through my phone. I got it all set up. It's 5:19. I'm like, I'm finished taking a dump. Didn't wipe yet. Family-friendly show, by the way, guys. I just realized I don't have anything online for the $500,000 league. And I spent all my FAB on Dearness Johnson and Felton. So I got this is my lineup in that league. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, Jeff Wilson, some other injured guy I can't even name now. So everyone's literally injured and on bye. So it hits 5:20. I'm on the John. I know I'm not gonna make it, but fantasy's life. I mud duck, run to the computer. I know I'm not gonna make, but I mean, like, hey, maybe I can get in a minute late. I don't know. I get on there, like this, pants down. I'm on the computer. It doesn't work. I start banging on the computer like a caveman.
I've seen that bang before.
I'm rolling without a running back this week, and Dearness Johnson goes off. It's all good. I'm 1-5. I mean, it's basically impossible, but it's just embarrassing because I post my record. I'm very transparent. So everything else I set though. I set NFL platform with the league with T-Pain and all those celebrities in that league. T-Pain, Darren Waller. I set my lineup there. I'm good to go. Throne, we set the lineup, hours ago. IG Experts League, I'm good. Everything's good to go. ESPN's good to go. Sleeper's good to go, one by one. But $500,000. Now it's definitely not happening. I don't think. I just literally don't have a running back, and I spent all my FAB. I spent $334 on Dearness Johnson, $333 on Felton. I need him. Like, I literally have zero running backs. Like, I can't.
So your chances are down the drain.
Yeah, it's already won, and you have to win. You have to come in first or second. Second gets a little bit of money, and first place gets a good amount of money, like over 1,000, and advances to the actual tournament where you get to win $500,000. So that's how my day's going. Other than that, we have a great show, guys. We're going to be talking a lot about Dynasty, and we're introducing Sue Shane to this podcast. Sue Shane and Debbie Drew here. They're going to be talking a lot about Dynasty. We're absolutely crushing it on Monkey Knife Fight. Shout out to MKF for the sponsorship. Save the regular fantasy questions till the end. We'll answer every single fantasy question you have. If you have a Dynasty question or you want to talk about what these guys are talking about, that's Dynasty related, that's Debbie related, we will interrupt it. We want to get your Dynasty questions and whatnot. But if there's anything else, save it towards the end. We'll get to that. let's do the ad read, and then let's go on to Dynasty. So you guys have a whole section prepared, right? Dynasty / Devi section.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say it's like going to Pawn Stars, when you got like this very unique thing that you bring into the shop, they call in the expert, right? So I mean, that's kind of what we're doing tonight. We're calling in the expert.
The Dynasty freak, more like when they bring in like a crazy expert.
Same thing, right? Same
when
thing.
They bring in a crazy expert, like I love guitars, or that's Sushane.
This is a great analogy. I didn't know you were gonna run with it. That's great.
Yeah. He's just a Dynasty.
So am I
freak.
Rick?
So
am I the guy behind the counter?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to go there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm Rick.
Yeah, you could be Rick. I'm the son, right? I gotta be like.
Yeah, you're like Chum Lee. Yeah. No. Chum Lee got fired a long time. I think you know who Chum Lee got fired from the couch. Yeah, like 6 years ago. We already know who that is. We won't speak upon his name.
This is awesome.
But I think we know who Chum Lee is. All right, guys. This podcast is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. We're absolutely crushing it on there. A lot of people having fun. That's great. What does Dak have to say? Man, Monkey Knife Fight. Lower the payout of the TD dance tonight. It was only 1.5x. You entry instead of double your money. Hopefully they'll no, it's hopefully they'll raise it.
I thought he was saying it was like a bonus or something.
No, hopefully they'll raise it, but I think I got a good pick for you guys on there. By the way, so just a trick on there, the more or less contest is one I often play. And if you play it on the day of, the payouts are higher. So the payouts are 3.6 versus 3. I just found that out today. So make sure if you do the more or less play the day of, so you get that extra. Like, to be honest, 3x, I know they're my sponsors or whatnot, but 3x, I don't like it. 3.x is very good. Very fair. That's the payout. So look at last week. Look what we did last week. We did a lot of touchdown dancing. We crushed it on all 3. And to be fair, I did have a pick that didn't work, but apparently by the time I posted it, that changed. It was Tua. They replaced it with Tua instead of Myles Gaskin. So I stupidly, picked Myles Gaskin. That was dumb, but nobody could pick that. So we're gonna roll with 3 for 3. Derrick Henry balled out. We crushed it. Every week we're crushing it. And this week, these are my picks for Monkey Knife Fight. Well, it's just one. And so we're targeting the highest scoring game. Obviously, we're going back, to the obvious. Titans, Chiefs. I'm going with Derrick Henry, 98% chance to score at least 1 touchdown. We're going Travis Kelce,
that's great,
69% chance to score at least 1 touchdown, and Garrett Williams. He's about a 60% chance to score at least 1 touchdown. Tyreek Hill didn't practice today. I expect him to play. Tyreek Hill's actually, if he's fully healthy, 90% chance to score at least 1 touchdown. So you can put him in instead of Kelce. And look, I'm going cheap. I'm going only $2, but I'm setting the goal higher. So they changed the 1.5 goal to only 1.5x, but they did not change the 2.5 goal. So we're going to buy in for $2. And if we scored 3 touchdowns or more, we're going to hit with $8. So that's my pick. All you got to do is follow the link below. Go to new game. Go to the KC Tennessee game. Pick Henry. Pick Garrett Williams. And then I would pick Kelce. You can pick Tyreek Hill for the touchdown dance, baby. Follow the link below in the description. Use promo code COUCH. You're going to get a $5 free game on your new sign up. 100% deposit match up to $100. Follow the link below. Use promo code COUCH. Let's win, baby. All right. So what exactly are these algorithms of yours? Come on. A true analyst can never tell, but they're sexy and accurate. That's all you need to know.
I've asked the same question in my head before.
That's all. Hey, that's all he needs to know.
Where are these algorithms coming from?
What about that Cowboys game and the other game? Like, these algorithms were hitting. Like, they were dead on. Like, the touchdowns, they matched up. And touchdowns are, like, nearly impossible to predict. But, when you get to pick 3 guys, you can kind of balance it out.
You're making your own algorithms back there. I know you're doing
Who not? Come on.
You've been doing computer stuff ever since I met you.
Silicon.
He had more information on computers than grown men and 40 and 50 years old.
I'm in the Silicon Valley industry. I dabble a lot in blockchain, digital stuff, Silicon Valley.
Taught me all of it.
I mean, That's literally the only secret I'll never tell is my secret sexy algorithms, machine learning, predictive formulas. I will never tell that. I literally tell everything. I even tell people how to pick kickers. Like I told all my secrets. But nobody knows. Nobody knows how to pick kickers. And not my kickers are hitting. Like there's no doubt
every week
about
they're
it.
hitting.
Yeah, and this is not boasting. I get a lot of things wrong, but some people tune in to the waivers and rankings purely for my defense and kickers, and I take no offense to it. Like if I'm good at something, I'm gonna be good at. Who's the guy who does the roast, the Comedy Central roast? What's his name?
I don't know.
Jeff. He's bald now. You know the Comedy Central roast, right?
I know what you're talking about.
What's his name? Put it in the chat. So that guy was like, he's trying to be a comic, obviously, and now he's the roast king. He's like, man, I want to be a real comic. I don't want to be like, I want to be. What's his name? Jeff Ross.
Yeah, Jeff Ross. That. Yeah,
is that it? He's like, I want to be a normal like I want to do like other stuff. And Dave Chappelle told him. He's like, bro, you got to roll with this. Like, how many people will be lucky to have something, like to be the king of something, to be a celebrity, to be and he's like, man, just roll with it. And he did. Now he's doing the morning roast podcast. He's the roast king. Like, it's better to be the king of something than just to be, out of the top 500, like not to be nobody. So, hey, if I'm the defense streamer and the kicker the best kicker analyst, hey, I'll take it.
We'll take that.
All right, we're doing I'm gonna let you guys take over the podcast pretty much. By the way, guys, if you have any Dynasty or Devy questions, hit them up. We'll read them as we're going along. Any other normal fantasy questions, we'll save them towards the end, and we'll answer every single question except if they're super weird. But I'm like Sushane and Debbie Drew take over. They're gonna be talking a lot about Dynasty. All right, guys.
Yeah, and so basically we just want to start off. I know this might be basic for some, but for others it might be helpful. So a Dynasty League is an extension of your normal redraft fantasy football league. And the difference is after the season ends, you'll keep all of those players. And those subsequent drafts each year are drafting college players into the NFL ranks. So those college guys like Trevor Lawrence this year, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, those were all the eligible guys for this draft, so to speak. A Devy Dynasty League, it's an extension of the Dynasty League. The difference is, in addition to having regular or veteran drafts, subsequent drafts have incoming NFL prospects only. Managers are also able to draft future prospects where the following drafts consist of college football prospects. All right, I'm trying to slow my words here. What I'm trying to say is you're able to draft guys from the college ranks or high schoolers that are going into college. So these are college players that you're drafting. Plus, you also have incoming rookie drafts from a depleted rookie class. Sorry, I tongue twisted there. The next segment, though, we really want to go into is the quarterbacks for this next year's class. And I'm going to be passing over to Sushane in a moment here. The first thing I really want to talk about or have Sushane talk about is just the overall class as a whole. And this includes all the defensive players, all the offensive players. Like, what are we looking at for 2022?
Yeah, so, every year there's this thing called rookie fever. It's going to happen again. There's all sorts of young, cool, hot names that are going to be available in 2022. And in fantasy football, they are the future of this game. So they're very interesting, and people are going to be excited about these guys. But what you have to know is when you're going into these 2022 rookie drafts in a year from now, most of the top guys are actually on the defensive side of the ball. So like corners, there's some edge rushers, linebackers, and then there's also some good offensive linemen. So those guys are actually going to be taken even ahead of, let's say, the best wide receivers or the best quarterbacks or the best running backs of the class. So as you go into these rookie drafts next year, just keep in mind that although like you might be getting the best fantasy wide receiver of the class, in 2022 as a whole might not be as great as you think.
Yeah, even 2021 is probably better. 2023 is probably better. Mm-hmm. So this class as a whole just doesn't stack up as well to the other classes we've had
for
recently.
Fantasy football purposes. Yeah,
absolutely. Defensive IDP guys are going to love it for sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But just to start it off, we're going to talk about two quarterbacks right away who are at the top of the quarterback ranking as of right now. So we got Sam Howell and we got Malik Willis. Now, just real quick, Sam Howell's from North Carolina. Malik Willis is from Liberty. He actually started at Auburn and transferred. But with Sam Howell, we know he's got a rocket arm. He is a little bit dual threat. And then Malik Willis is probably more dual threat, a little less, efficient in the passing game, let's say.
Yeah. So just to expand a little bit on both of these guys, right? These two are, at least as of today, are looking like you're kind of tier one, if you want to call it, of the quarterback position, right? So Sam Howell, he's pretty well built, thickly built, 6'1", 220. Like that's, good durability there. I think we were talking earlier, you brought up Baker Mayfield. That's a pretty good comparison just as of size and whatever. In terms of build. What he brings, and build and everything. In terms of what he brings to the table, right? He's not quite the athletic playmaker type of guy, right? But he's certainly more mobile than like a statue pocket passer, right? His most resounding trait, he's got impeccable natural accuracy. He's really accurate with the football, but that's been a little bit up in the air as of lately because he's kind of been trending down. He's had a slow start to the 2021 season, and even with that natural accuracy, he's thrown 5 interceptions in 7 games. Actually, I see 6 interceptions in 7 games. And he's got a little bit of a fumbling issue. 6 fumbles. It's not good.
He was a Heisman hopeful before the season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And now there's no chance.
Now it's pretty much gone. Like even if he does everything right and he absolutely just blows up in the next 5 or 6 games or whatever he has left, it might not be enough to repair the damage that's already been done here.
And then you have Malik Willis now. He's at Liberty. He started off really strong, but last couple of games, not so much, right?
Yeah, so the thing to know with him is he's really good at running. So this is now his 3rd year in college football, right? As you said, he transferred from Auburn, but now he's shown for 2 years that, hey, as a runner, dominant. This guy can be like Lamar Jackson. Like he's a really, really good runner. The one thing that we wanted to kind of monitor and see was how can he or could he take the next step as a passer in 2021? And through 5 games, he was doing just that. Pretty good individual game-by-game completion percentage. No picks through 5 games. So all eyes were on him saying, hey, whoa, this guy is a passer. He's kind of taking the next step.
Yep.
But then what happened is in game 6, he played, I think, MTSU. Not a great team, certainly competitive, but not great by any means. And he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah,
3 INTs.
That's just too much.
And then he follows that up and throws 3 more interceptions in another game.
And these are bad teams that he's playing.
Yeah, these aren't good teams at all. So in his last 2 games, he's thrown 6 picks. Forget about pick 6. That's 6 picks. And we want to see what he's like as a passer. It was looking good. Now it's like, And if that's your tier 1, where you have not Spencer Rattler, you have Sam Howell, who's kind of on the, sluggish start. And you have Malik Willis, who was on the rise and also just hit a wall. That kind of tells you about what you're looking at for the quarterbacks as a whole here.
Yeah, and we do have Spencer Rattler coming up, Dak, just so you know. Yeah. We will have a whole segment or, a slide on him. I do want to get to these other guys, but just real quick before we go on, I do want to mention how these guys might fare in your fantasy drafts. So if you're talking like a 1 quarterback league here, Sam Howell is probably like a late round 1, maybe late round 2 guy. And that's the same for Malik Willis here. But for a 2 quarterback superflex league, these guys could go as early as, the 1.02, 1.03 even, or as late as maybe round 3 for, say, Malik Willis, probably early round 2, maybe late round 1 for Sam Howell. So let's move on. I want to talk about a couple other guys that you really like some of these guys, and I do too.
And rather the opposition knows what's coming.
It's coming for sure. But we got Carson Strong from Nevada. We got Grayson Mccall from Coastal Carolina.
Acknowledge this guy. What does he say? Rather be out fishing.
Oh, this is Matt Kraut right here.
Okay, so, we're talking about
he's on the slide.
Oh yeah,
here we go.
It's good. So we got Carson Strong, Nevada, Grayson Mccall, Coastal Carolina in the middle, and there, and Matt Corral on the right-hand side there from Ole Miss. I'm going to let Sushan elaborate on these guys. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? You could let me elaborate, but put up that comment again by rather be out fishing. He's got it perfect. And that's what I can say with all three of these guys, actually.
Yeah.
Any of these guys could be the number one quarterback in this draft. At the same time, these guys could be maybe shoved later in the first round, maybe kind of in that third round area, like where Kellen Mond was, or maybe just totally irrelevant, right? So the first guy to talk about here, listed on the leftmost picture, Carson Strong.
But by the way, he says, rather be out fishing. He says Matt Corral could be number one QB in this draft. Just got to say that for the audio listeners.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
Yo,
comment.
sorry. Yeah, that's a good comment, by the way.
It is a good comment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Carson Strong, what is he? He is your prototypical pocket passer. Great arm, great in the pocket. He's kind of on that meteoric rise that like we've seen with like a Joe Burrow or like a Zach Wilson in recent years.
And big arm.
Big arm, good frame. 6'4", 215, good size,
perfect.
right? Only problem with him for fantasy, zero rushing upside. Absolutely zero. He's not going to get you a rushing touchdown, a rushing yards, nothing like that. Right?
And then you have Grayson Mccall. He's more of a dual threat quarterback, right? But he's a lot skinnier. Well, not a lot, but the size is the concern.
So like you were saying, he is a little bit more athletic, not quite like the electrifying playmaker type of guy, but
can get around.
He can run around a little bit, right? Good accuracy, right? But again, his main concern is that he's 6'3", 200, okay? So just to compare, we had Trey Lance at 6'3", 225 coming in, and he had room to grow. So we're kind of projecting him to be like, push toward 240, maybe even a little more.
Definitely.
So like for him, size is like a really big plus, right? Now, when we look at Grayson Mccall, he's 6'3", 200, about maybe 205 or something now. But he hasn't necessarily peaked at his weight, but he's close. He started out like 190, maybe even like 185 or something. So he's already gained 15 pounds to his frame. There's not a whole lot much more he can do. And at 6'3", we want him at the minimum at 220 pounds.
They just got upset
other guys
the other
like
night.
Howell and Willis, they're 6'1", 225. This guy's 6'3", and we're hoping he's in that 220 range.
And he just did get upset. What was it, Appalachian State the other night?
Yeah, last night. He was doing well. I was watching like a couple of drives. He started out hot, 4 for 6, 118 yards and a touchdown. And for the rest of the game, he only threw like 150 yards. No scores, and they lost. It's like a really not a good team, competitive in the Sun Belt, but not a good team.
And then we got this guy, Matt Kraut. I mean, this guy's got a really gifted arm. I know you have some really good stuff to say about him, and who he kind of reminds you of with his skill set. Yeah,
so this guy, very, very gifted arm, versatile passing arm, actually, right? So when we look at Trevor Lawrence, all right, and I'm not comparing this guy to Trevor Lawrence. Let's just pump the brakes here a little bit.
But
right?
This skill set, I guess you could say.
This particular skill set here, right? When you look at Trevor Lawrence, what made him really, really good was his ability to layer throws. Layering throws in football is basically the ability to use the proper touch to throw a ball to your receiver in between two defenders. One guy is usually a little lower, one guy is a little higher in coverage, and you try to fit that ball with good touch and everything, right? This guy does it often, Matt Corral. Really, really often, right? He's definitely an athletic guy too. Like he can run around. And the only weakness per se on his resume was that last year he had 14 picks, 1-4. So we're kind of saying, hey, let's eliminate the turnovers, and he's done that so far. I think from the statistic, he only has 1 interception right now.
He's pretty balling out, and he's playing against good competition, the SEC.
Yeah. Ole Miss is, Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of another good competition, we got Cincinnati. They beat Notre Dame earlier in the season. It had a lot to do with this guy on the left, Desmond Ritter. Yeah. This guy's stats are pretty wild, and he's got the size at 6'4".
Oh, yeah. He's got the size at 6'4", and that gives him these long legs. And he's one of those guys who can run around, but he's not really a speed guy, right?
No,
so he actually gets most of his production because he's a long strider. He's so tall, right? As a passer, what you got to know is incredible zip on the football. Similar again to another name I brought up, Trey Lance. Again, like on the short intermediate, you kind of saw the velocity on there. And then also with Trey Lance, with high velocity comes that kind of ball placement issue. He kind of has a little bit of that. The turnovers haven't come, which are good. But he's got, he can definitely make a rise. And he's also could be a Heisman guy, maybe. his team is doing really well.
Yeah, well, speaking about, I don't want to be too cliche, but speaking about being on the rise, this guy on the right, Kenny Pickett, I hadn't even heard about him until recently.
Yeah,
playing against Clemson this week. He plays for Pitt, by the way. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, so Kenny Pickett, he plays for the Pittsburgh Panthers. If we made this update 1 week ago, no, he wouldn't. I've never heard of this guy until then, right? And I was saying, how come I've never heard of this guy? And I was doing some more digging. I found him through Mel Kiper's list. I think we got a comment about Ritter here. Yeah, don't love Ritter's accuracy. Fair enough. He's got some ball players.
Yeah, he did. That was the one thing we talked about when we prepped for this. I mean, how it's been getting better, but that some of the back shoulder routes he's not able to hit necessarily. The timing on some of the stop routes or the in routes, he just doesn't have it all the time in previous years and previous starts, I should say. Yeah. But we've seen improvement here and there. So it's definitely a good comment by Amar, though. Definitely.
Absolutely.
And he is from Cincinnati, so he gets it first look. I'm sure he's reading up, seeing it every Saturday. He's definitely on top of it, so I would trust his opinion.
For sure. We agree, Amar. That's what we're saying. So going back.
Yeah, and just go ahead. Yeah.
Right? So again, I was saying, like, how have I never heard of this guy, right? So I'm doing more digging on this, and I see that he actually could have been selected last year, right?
He had it committed, right?
If he had declared, he could have been selected last year. And I was doing a little more research on that, and then they were saying that he wouldn't have been in that top 5, like the Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, that type of tier, the tier 1, right? But he was going to be ahead of guys, exactly. But he was going to be ahead of guys like Davis Mills, Kellen Mond, etc. So that is kind of exciting because he stayed one more year to further develop. And I'm watching a little bit of this guy. Man, he has really clean mechanics, really, really good mechanics, polished passer, good experience, smart plays. He seems like one of those, like this guy really could be a Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow type riser, Only problem
look at those numbers.
Yeah, look at those numbers. Incredible, right? Only issue is that even with these insanely, I'm going to use the word perfect, and I don't use the word perfect lightly, insanely perfect mechanics, he's still he knows he has this ability to make those off-platform Zach Wilson, Patrick Mahomes type throws, right? And he sometimes gets a little too carried away, right? He tends to want to show that off a little too much, and he gets a little over-reliant on that ability to make those off-platform, cool highlight reel throws.
Right.
And he gets into trouble sometimes when he can instead just dial it back, use his perfect mechanics, and just keep on going. But as you said, big game Saturday against Clemson. If he does well, you will know his name.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it more often. And then just to go back to talk about how the fantasy impact will be for these guys, like Fishing had mentioned, Matt Corral, you don't want to sleep on this guy. He could be an early fantasy say super flex pick. We're talking like 1.03, 1.04. I mean, it just depends on how the rest of the season goes. The rest of these guys probably fall mid to late first round in super flex. We're talking probably like early to maybe even 3rd to 5th round in one quarterback leagues, because there is such a variance here, right? It's kind of like a sliding scale. Some of these guys are going to fall off. Some of these guys are going to project or boost their value higher over the course of the next, 6-7 games that they all have. In any case, let's move on. We got some other things to talk about. We got what we were asked about earlier, Rattler, right? This is a complicated situation. First and foremost, I just want to kind of tee it up for Sushane here. So this is Oklahoma. And so Spencer Rattler is the former starting quarterback there. He has actually been, the starting quarterback job has been taken over by Caleb Williams, who's actually not even going to be eligible for the NFL draft till 2024. It's a true freshman, right? So he just came in and basically took over the starting quarterback role here in Oklahoma and ran with it. So now Spencer Rattler has a few options, and we'll get to that. But look at these stats and then just kind of give us like an overall opinion on Spencer. And then I'll kind of go into more of what he could probably do from here.
Yeah. So going into the season, this was supposed to be the guy.
Right.
Super flex 1.1, first overall pick.
Big time.
5-star quarterback. electrifying playmaker. That's what he is. He's an electrifying playmaker. All right. What I noticed about him early on was that he is kind of like a Brett Favre gunslinger. He'll throw with no remorse at all.
Yeah.
So you saw the upside a year ago. Now you're kind of seeing the downsides catch up to him. I mean, 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. It's in 75% completion percentage. I mean, these sound good, but for college, like you're playing some scrub teams. You should be having 4 touchdowns, no picks in, like for 3 games out of this stuff. He only has 10 touchdowns and 5 picks, which is not that great, right?
Yeah.
So another problem here, just a red flag is some, for personalities, it doesn't matter sometimes, but this guy is really just a jerk. Like he was spotted going to the tunnel, like not with his team. And then when Caleb Williams took over, so not his first start, because Caleb Williams has now played in 1.5 games, if you want to call it that. So when he took over in the middle of the game, at the end of the first quarter, actually, and he went off, I think he broke out for like a huge run, a rushing touchdown. Caleb Williams was seen making a face instead of like dapping up his teammate, being like, "Hey, nice job, good start, welcome to Oklahoma, whatever."
Yeah, Rattler was making the face.
Now, is this camera editing tricks? Could be. It doesn't look good though, right? So now you want to get into the scenarios of what can happen here.
And I want to talk a little bit about and piggyback on what you're saying. I mean, the other problem is his job has now been taken over by another 5-star recruit. Yeah. It's not like he is, backup quarterback was a 3-star guy who's been a backup the whole time. We're talking about a guy who's going to take over. It's going to be his regime going forward.
His time might be now. His time might
right
be
on.
Yeah.
And that's what we all kind of feel like here. So here's a couple options that Rattler has, we think. I mean, it could be that Caleb Williams either falls off due to play or injury and actually isn't the starter for the rest of the season or for a few games this season, and Rattler is able to boost his stock up a little bit more. Maybe he does take them into a bowl game with significance and ultimately looks good. And he could actually go into the 2022 draft with that sort of value, having rebuilt it, so to speak. He could also stay there. I mean, this is the most unlikely situation. He could stay as the backup the whole entire season and still commit to the NFL. Or sorry, hold on. He could stay as a backup into the 2022 draft. This is unlikely. It would, yeah. So he would stay as the backup and then enter the draft after this season.
Enter in 2022
with his value this low. I mean, on the downward trend. Right. Now, the third thing that we think could happen is he'll hit the transfer portal. And there's other ways or other players who've done this in the past who've regained their stock and value over playing in a different conference or a different team, obviously. And that could be the way he actually does this based on a lot of people say money, because his situation they think is more money motivated in a way where he's probably going to look at who's available in this next upcoming draft, how his stock looks up to them. And then he may decide to actually commit in 2023. And then it could be a total disaster. This is like the fourth option where basically he doesn't get drafted at all. And these last two options have the hugest impact because if he plays for another team, he regains his stock, his value, and he does really well next season. Let's say he is a top pick in 2023. Now he's in a class of some other guys that we're going to talk about later on. We'll talk about a couple just now, but 2023 class. So that's going to add in another factor there. Sorry, I'm going to keep going here because I know we're kind of slowly chugging along here. I'm going to move over to another thing we're talking about next is 2023 quarterback class. Before we go in further and talk about this, I just want to point out that the Heisman Trophy award winner this season is probably going to be a 2023 guy. And here's why. We got top recruit, 5-star prospect Bryce Young, who's just coming into his own at Alabama. And then we're going to talk about another guy later on who you probably have heard about on a few other podcasts, Bijan. So go ahead with Bryce Young first, and then we'll get to the running backs after.
So as you mentioned, Bryce Young is the Heisman probably front runner. He hasn't secured it by any means, but he's definitely the front runner this year. So again, that should tell you in your fantasy draft, you're taking all these quarterbacks and they're all available, but none of them were even the best one this year. Right now, right? The thing to know with Bryce Young is, so the way recruiting works is you have pro-style quarterbacks, like pocket passers, and you have dual threat quarterbacks, who can run
Do
the
both.
football, right? So Bryce Young is the top dual threat quarterback in his entire recruiting class. In fact, he is the number 2 player in that recruiting class, and that includes tackles, defensive ends, linebackers,
Every
corners,
position.
everything, right? So the thing to know about this particular dual threat recruiting class is Bryce Young is the number 2 overall prospect or recruit in his class, and the second best dual threat is like 59 or something. So there's a huge drop off between Bryce Young and the next best dual threat.
It's head and shoulders.
Yeah. What makes him so good is he's extremely mature. He's only, I think he's a sophomore or something. He has a couple of years because he's 2023. And this is insane about him. He's most comfortable when a play breaks down. I don't know how it's possible to be uncomfortable in an uncomfortable situation, but that's what he is.
Yeah,
Very
and he's
good
playing with
improviser. That's what he is.
And he's playing with great talent, obviously, on his team, but he's playing obviously against great talent, and he's showing up on Saturdays. I know they have a 1 loss this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was recently. But what about this guy, DJ?
Well, according to PFF, that's actually a bad sign. They say that quarterbacks that are best in a clean pocket are going to be projected to perform the best as just a quarterback. So I don't know. That's a pretty big red flag.
Really?
If he's not good in a clean pocket.
No, he is good in a clean pocket. I'm just saying that he's really good when a play breaks down. That's kind of where he's.
Well, that sounds good then. That sounds good.
He's kind of like a Russell Wilson in that case. When you watch this guy,
that's fine then. Because if he can perform in a clean pocket, then I don't see a red flag there.
Yeah, no red flag.
Yeah, you got to see this guy. He's pretty electric.
He's good.
Yeah, he's outstanding. What about this guy, DJU? I'll let you pronounce
this guy has not been performing up to par. Okay, so let's learn his last name together, guys. It's DJ Uiagalelei. All right?
Uiagalelei.
Now you know how to
That's
pronounce.
Pretty. How about that, Hussein? You want to try?
Heck no. Let's get through this.
Let's get through it. Right.
We're good. So then you drafted this guy in our Devy League. Tell us how you feel about him now.
I drafted him, right? Obviously, I don't feel as good, of course, because he has not been. I mean, Clemson was ranked number 1. Now they're not even ranked. Okay, they're going to play Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is actually ranked while they're not. Weird, right? But the thing with him is that when you look at all these programs, like you look at, let's say, North Carolina, for example, right? They just had Mitchell Trubisky, who got drafted. They have this guy named Sam Howell. We talked about him earlier. They have another guy, which we'll probably cover later on. But in terms of quarterbacks, they kind of have a built-up thing ready to go. Same thing you can see with Ohio State and some others. Oklahoma as well. They had Rattler. Caleb Williams is waiting. The thing with Clemson is they had Deshaun Watson, and they had Trevor Lawrence come in. They had Trevor Lawrence and they had DJU come in, and now they have no one. So there's a little bit of a sense of a desperation factor for Clemson to really make this work with this guy. And for that reason, I'm still holding on to him in my Devy League.
Yeah, and I think it's a good call. He's definitely got talent and he's got time to make it work. But you're right. They are a little bit desperate to make it work. So that might actually help.
Yep.
Now let's go over the future, but we're going to make it quick on these guys
because
really we have more to talk about it later. But on your left, you got Quinn Ewers. And this guy's committed already to Ohio State. I mean, just electric arm. These two both, by the way, are like John Elway type prospects here. I mean,
yeah. So we got 2 John Elways coming.
1,000 composite score.
Way later. Yeah.
Ridiculous talent. And then on the right, we got Arch Manning. The crazy part is this isn't Peyton's son. This isn't Eli's son. They had a third Peyton brother who I had never heard about.
Cooper Manning.
And it's his son, Cooper Manning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Cooper must have been like, I got to get back at my brothers for being like, pretty darn good at football. Oh, I'll just have a son that's, better than them. But we're going to breeze past these guys because, of course, we got way more stuff to talk about in terms of these guys down the line.
Yeah, worth noting, though, both of these guys are going to be millionaires before they're 20 because of the NIL.
That's true. Yeah, and they're making millions, guys, like 1.5, I think, for one and 10 for Arch. So insane numbers. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to these 2022 running backs, though. Yes. And on the left, we have Breece Hall out of Iowa State, excuse me. And then on the right, out of Texas A&M, we have Isaiah Spiller. Now, there's two different types of backs here. I just want to point out, you're kind of looking at Najee Harris versus Travis Etienne. I mean, is that kind of like what we're looking at here?
I would say that the talent level is not quite as high as Najee Harris and Etienne, but it's
types
just
of backs
a hair lower, and that's a very good comparison. You got Breece Hall, he's the power back. Isaiah Spiller is the all-purpose back. Both are going to be utilized in the passing game as Najee Harris, and we haven't seen Etienne, but that's what's
I love seeing those reception stats on both these guys. Right. I mean, we're going to go over a couple other guys who can catch the ball, but Breece really impresses me with his running style. So yeah, we'll continue on. I know Isaiah Spiller is one of your top guys, but there's a couple other running backs we want to highlight, and those three guys are here. This would be more like tier 2, by the way, / tier 3, because we got Kyren Williams out of Notre Dame on his own tier, essentially tier 2.
So remember how last year we had Najee Harris and Etienne, and then we had kind of a little bit of a gap, and then Javonte Williams just by himself? That's kind of what we have here with Kyren Williams. I'd say Kyren Williams is maybe a hair ahead in terms of talent, a little bit above Javonte Williams.
Better pass catcher, probably.
Yeah. So I was going to say, PPR, you definitely want to target this guy. This guy is a pass catching machine. He's not just going to be utilized in the passing attack, but teams are going to be looking to feed him the ball in the passing attack, probably. That's his really major skill set.
Yeah, and then on the right-hand side, so that was Notre Dame. Notre Dame's Kyren Williams on the left-hand side here. We got in the middle there Zamir White from Georgia. And on the right, we got Eric Gray out of Oklahoma. And then once you're done, I'm going to go ahead and give these guys estimated fantasy draft value on them. So make sure I don't forget.
So Zamir White. So we talked about Breece Hall being a power back, right? So is Zamir White. Big difference with Zamir White is he is only in between the tackles.
Yes, big
PPR
time.
Might not be it. Starkly different from Kyren Williams. Yeah.
Very true, though.
Yeah. Also, another thing is that he kind of lacks that home run speed, and he does have a kind of limited skill set. So that limited skill set could prevent him from being that 3-down back in the National Football League, right? Eric Gray, on the other hand, not in between the tackles, all-purpose.
All-purpose, yeah. I was going to say.
He is by far the best pass-catching back in this class. No comparison. Kyren Williams is good. No comparison. Not to this guy.
Bar none.
Literally, most of his production comes from the receiving game, right? Again, the issue with him is, as a projection, like, yes, he's going to be dynamic as a pass-catching guy, but can he be a 3-down guy? He's not a good run blocker. Doesn't really have a great frame, but I mean, he didn't even have the workhorse opportunity necessarily with Oklahoma, because they have a couple backs over there. So those are all some concerns, but again, really good pass catching guy.
And I want to just catch up on a few things here. So we got Breece Hall as a possible 1.01 pick, along with Isaiah Spiller. It's kind of preference, depending on how this season goes and then where they get drafted, of course. But those guys could go that high in, say, a 1-quarterback dynasty league, Debbie League, maybe. And then in Superflex, I mean, it's the same type of ballpark, except they could get pushed back because of the quarterback. So maybe early first to, say, mid first-round pick. Yeah. And then for Kyren Williams, in a single quarterback dynasty league, we got him in the early first round. So maybe 1.03, 1.04 to maybe mid first round. So 1.07 or something like that. And then in Superflex, we're looking at probably a mid-round first round pick. And that's probably mid to late. And then we got Zamir White. So Zamir White and Eric Gray kind of fall in the same kind of category, just depending on where they get drafted to. Because some of these guys, you know, they're either going to be utilized pass catching back, you got goal line back and whatnot. But these guys can be drafted maybe late, mid first round in a one quarterback dynasty league, and then a 2 Superflex league. They're probably going to be drafted more towards the end of round 1 and then to round 2, mid round 2. Sorry. So let's move on to a couple other guys that we want to highlight who are the future of the running back position as we know it. We've talked about Bijan Robinson on the show before, And I think a lot of guys on the comments, they really enjoy him too and have lots of great things to say. There's really not anything bad to say about this guy, right? He's like the next Saquon / Christian McCaffrey. We're going to spend a lot more time on these guys later since they are the future. But just note, like, Bijan's in the Heisman running right now. Like, it's possible.
He's a running back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
insane.
In 2023.
So he's really just one of the more elite prospects we've ever seen. But this guy on the right, Trayvion Henderson out of Ohio State, he's a true freshman already getting run. And ultimately, I mean, he's got similar comparisons, to be honest. He's very much bigger, though, and bulkier. And I think that, you know, he may actually get a lot more touches at Ohio State over his career there, kind of like a Zeke did, for example.
Yeah.
So that might be the one concern we have about Henderson, is that if he's starting out as a true freshman already, and he's going to play for 3 years as the number one guy at Ohio State, like, is he going to come into the NFL with injury concern or too much tread on the tires, so to speak, like college scouts say? I don't know. You tell me.
Maybe. That is a reason for concern. And also, again, we don't want to spend too much time on him, but he is in 2024 as compared to Bijan is 2023. So that's an extra year where you can get hurt, right? But very again, true. Like, he's not just getting run as a true freshman. He's getting the workhorse 20 plus carries in the game. So, I mean, it could really add up. But Zeke was fine. I mean, he's certainly not as great as he once was, but he's still pretty good.
He's a little slower at 26, but I mean,
right. If you had Ezekiel Elliott in your draft, and you'd be ecstatic, you know. So maybe
you're happy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to the wide receiver class. So this is the 2022 class, 2022, sorry, wide receiver class. So on the left, we have Trayvion Burks. In the middle there, we have Garrett Wilson, and on the right there, we have Chris Olavey. So Trayvion Burks, he plays for Arkansas, and then both the guys, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olavey, play for Ohio State along with Henderson. I'll let you start off with Chandler Burke, since I think you love this prospect.
Oh yeah, I know you're a big fan of him. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thing to know about him, he's got a really good frame. Definitely, probably will develop into an X wide receiver type of prototype. He's got deadly speed and great size. Again, that makes him like a kind of like a yard after catch machine, right? Extremely difficult to tackle. The main thing
freakish hands, right? Yeah. I mean, I just was like looking at this picture, like, dude, are they as big as his head?
Yeah. So his hands, it's really funny about this. So the size glove he wears is actually 5XL. There is no company that makes that. So Nike doesn't make a 5XL. Adidas or whoever, they don't make 5XL. So he's actually wearing custom-made gloves because his hands are so big. All right. And just because he has big hands doesn't mean he's useless. He uses those hands, and that gives him this amazing catching ability.
Yeah.
Amazing catching ability. I think he's going to be strongly in consideration to be the first wide receiver picked off the board, potentially. If not, could be this next guy that we're bringing up, Garrett Wilson. Also could be develop into an X wide receiver. That's kind of like his skill set, right? Not as big as Burks per se. Right?
Yeah, definitely undersized compared to Burks.
Yeah, Burks is 6'3", 225. Garrett Wilson's only 6 foot, 190 only, right? But I mean, again, he's got all the tools and the talent level, and strong hands, good body control. I mean, you see from the picture, right? He's got this high point ability that makes him just
insane. Right? Look at that catch. Yeah. Just flight school on him.
Yeah, the only drawback for him as of right now is it's going to be just the undersized frame and what that kind of brings. Like, can't break tackles because he's undersized and just all that other nonsense that, undersized frame. That's about it. But again, he should be one of the first guys, wide receivers taken. And then there's his teammate, Chris Olavey, right? He's a really good route runner, right? Vertical threat, deep threat. I think with him, he can develop into like a Z wide receiver type thing, right? And what you want to watch for, this is going to be important when you guys are selecting or choosing if you want to select him or not. You want to make sure he's on a team that can feature the Z wide receiver. Okay? Yeah. So what do I mean by that? People tend to think that an X wide receiver is the WR1 of a team, the dominant X, like Des Bryant, et cetera, Calvin Johnson, right? But if you look at the Chiefs, for example, that's not how their WR1 is. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a Z wide receiver. He's a speedster. He's a deep threat. So if you have a team who's going to build and feature that Z wide receiver, and that's the team that takes Chris Olave, his stock can really soar in fantasy football. So that kind of is like that tier 1 of wide receivers.
Yeah, and I mean, for getting these guys into your fantasy drafts, I mean, for a single quarterback league, I mean, we're talking mid first round here to late first round for all 3 of these guys. And then, by the way, I mean, there's a great class of wide receivers this year.
Yeah.
So you guys will be able to get guys later too. But in a super flex leagues, we're probably talking about, mid to more like mid first to mid second. In that range for these 3 guys. But yeah, there's a couple other guys that are really standouts too. One guy, George Pickens, here on the left, we're going to highlight him, although he's out for the season with a torn ACL. We feel like he actually could be maybe even better than the guys we just mentioned if he was on the field this season.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Good frame again, ex wide receiver prototype. He's got the skill set and everything. Man, this guy's got an impeccable catch radius. He can catch almost anything, basically. Route running, physical receiver against that ACL, right? And that ACL actually makes things a little bit complicated, right? So there's some rumors I'm hearing that he might, if Georgia goes to the CFP, the College Football Playoff, which it looks like they will, there's some rumors saying that he might be available then. And there's some rumors saying that he might just completely shut down and maybe even look to move to the 2023 draft so he can get a college football season under his belt.
Yeah, we'll put
and again, that kind of has another huge impact that we talked about with Spencer Rattler if you were to move classes. But again, the talent level, the physical tools, whatever analytics you want to use, I mean, that's all going to lead him to be a very, very highly touted wide receiver, even though he's not even playing at all this year.
Yeah, and then the other guys we're going to talk about, we got Drake London from USC and then Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Now we can kind of quickly go through these guys because on the middle there, Drake London, this is more of your possession type receiver. And he's been really excelling this season at that. But there on the right is Jahan Dotson. I mean, this guy has great boundary control, elite catching ability, makes circus-like grabs. He has had the biggest rise probably out of any wide receiver, maybe even any player. In the college football season based on his first 6 games there. So just be on the lookout for Jahan Dotson, and Drake London would be more of like a PPR kind of guy, right? Like if we're thinking long term, he's probably going to be more your possession style receiver, whereas Jahan Dotson might be your, boomer bust.
Right.
And then let's move on to these other guys who are this other guy, who is the future. Now you'll see this guy, Kayshon Boutte, giving this would-be defender the nice stiff arm. He comes from a great university where we've seen great wide receivers come out lately, like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You could go back as far as like Dwayne Bowe. There's a couple others, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, which no one wants to probably talk about because
that's true. Right after today,
this is the next LSU hype
star. Oh my god! Yeah. So I'm just gonna read off 2 single game stat lines for you. So just
what year is he coming out?
Good point. This is 2023, guys.
Yeah, this will be the top guy in 23. Just like as a future, just to keep him in the back of your mind. I'm just gonna read off 2 game stat lines for you, and you're gonna know what he's about. 9 receptions, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns.
That's one game.
That's one game. 14 receptions, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a wide receiver, not a quarterback. All right.
Yeah, and
this guy is a monster.
You took him, I think, as your first wide receiver in our debut draft, or was
first wide receiver overall of all the wide receivers taken in our debut draft, and I feel very good about it.
That's pretty high praise, and it paid off already this season, and I'm knowing it's going to pay off in the future. We got some tight ends to talk about here, and I know you're a tight end guy. So I'm gonna line this one up for you. So we got Jalen Weidemeyer on the left there from Texas A&M, and we got Jahlil Billingsley from Alabama on the right there. There's 2 different types of tight ends on the screen, though, right? I mean, this is like night and day here.
Yeah. So Weidemeyer is definitely more of like a complete. He can work in the passing game. He can also do some blocking, right? physical freak. I mean, this guy's a freak of nature. He's 6'5", 255 coming into the NFL. Like, that's huge, right? Massive guy. The only thing with him is that, and let me get into Billingsley first, and I'll talk about both of them actually. So Billingsley, he's not as big, and he's actually got pretty apparent weaknesses in his technique in the blocking as a blocker. So that kind of makes him project as more of like a slot tight end, a wide tight end, just like a passing guy there. And that's going to be a little bit shaky because for one reason, you kind of need blocking to see the field early on. If you don't have that, you're going to be limited on the snaps and the looks that you're going to be, the formations, everything you're going to be playing in. But then also, Jahleel Billingsley really needs to put on some pounds, right? Unlike Weidermeyer, who's a physical freak of nature, Billingsley, his size, there's going to be one team just for his size who's going to cross him off the board. They're going to say, no.
Yeah. And if there's one, there's more than one, for sure. I mean, that just
the thing to know about just this tight end class as a whole, right? Weidermeyer, Billingsley, there's going to be some other names that, and you know how tight ends go in fantasy, like, oh, I'm going to find the next great dart tight end. Like, that's what these guys are. Like Cole Kmet, Adam Troutman, probably better than both of these guys. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And then we have the future of the tight end position, which I know you're really into the guy on the left. I know the guy on the right is super talented. Let's go over Michael Mayer on the left from Notre Dame, who you feel like is probably one of the best overall prospects, right?
Yeah.
I mean, legit out of this whole list. And then on the right, we have Eric Gilbert, who you see in an LSU uniform, but he has since transferred to Georgia, but he hasn't played this season. You'll see there's a tweet on the screen if you can read it. I know Hussein said I need to make it bigger next time, so I will. But it said, Kirby Smart said that Eric Gilbert remains away from the team and isn't sure if he will be back this season. Everyone is pulling from. According to what we've researched, Eric Gilbert's dealing with a personal issue that no one knows what's going on, but he's not on the field this season.
Yeah, so it's not an injury. It's not, some like legal issue or something. It's just some sort of, maybe it's like I'm just throwing guesses here. Maybe it's like a family tragedy, or maybe it's like some sort of like, personal stuff that's going on. We just don't know. And we can respect his privacy. We don't need to know. But what you need to know is that he's not playing. We don't know when he's going to return. He transferred at Georgia, but when he transferred, he did something that might irritate a lot of us. Okay, he changed his positional eligibility from tight end to a wide receiver. That is extremely yikes, all right? Because as a tight end, you're getting Kyle Pitts light. Seriously, like people were saying, oh, Kyle Pitts is the greatest tight end prospect we've seen in X many years. I'm thinking to myself, okay, just wait 2 more years.
There's another one coming.
So he's that type of guy. Like he's a positional mismatch. Lines up anywhere on the field, slot, out wide. That's why he's changed his eligibility to a wide receiver. But again,
he's 6'5".
Yeah,
he needs to be a tight end. Like play.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Dude.
We were saying the same thing actually.
He's 6'5". What is going on here? He's like it makes Evan Ingram. He look like a small guy. It makes Evan Ingram look like Tariq Cohen.
Literally, man.
My Jeff Ross on, right?
Oh yeah.
No, you got a point though. That's what we were arguing about, or not arguing. We were stating that last night when we were going over this stuff. Like, why don't you just fall in line? Be the best tight end you can ever be, and you might go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but this other guy,
he is potential Hall of Fame in your opinion, right? Michael Mayer.
Oh my God. Okay, so what I'm gonna recommend to you guys is if you need a tight end, you're kind of like in a rebuild. Just if you can afford to wait 1 more year, do it, because Michael Mayer, I think he's gonna be. So when you think of tight ends, right, there's this kind of stigma that's like, okay, they're going to take a couple of years to develop. They take longer to develop than wide receivers, or take even longer than running backs, for example. So tight ends, like you can take a guy and then put him in your taxi or whatever. This guy might hit day one, dude. Like as a true freshman, he was NFL ready. And there's this rule in college football where you have to stay in college for 3 years. So just imagine if you're NFL ready as a freshman, you play for Notre Dame 1 year, you do it again, further develop, you do it again for a 3rd year and fully develop.
That's wild,
even more develop. This guy is complete tight end, golden prospect. I think he's for sure one of the one of those like gold jacket type guys, in my opinion. I would say.
I know Hussein's listening for this because he wants to pick the next best tight end. I'm thinking.
So he's like Freiermuth, but better.
Way better. Way better.
But Freiermuth's pretty dang good.
Yeah, he's really good. Really good.
Who is your favorite prospect on this list, Hussein? I want to know your thoughts.
I don't know. You didn't put the names on here, so I couldn't keep up with anything.
It's all good.
Next time, put the names. I can't. Yeah, I get. You know, I'm.
Put the names next time. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm just. I'm clueless. But
we're done though. We have a couple.
This guy who changed eligibility. Now you have his name here, so I'm following along. This is the only slide I can follow along. That's all. You know. That's all I can do. Eric Gilbert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did he change that for money? Because I know the franchise tag pays more for a wide receiver.
I mean, that's like a thought in advance, but I guess he could have thought.
Oh, stop it. Now money's all like, let's not be innocent children here. It's all like,
but if you're the best tight end in the country, I mean, if you could be the best tight end in the country,
okay, I'm just asking a question. I don't care about your fantasies. I'm asking a question here.
You might be
did
right.
Did he change it? Because he's like, look, I'm totally not a tight. Like, there's got to be what's the two reasons, right? One, I just came up with, is it money? What's the second? Why would he change it?
I do maybe have a reason for you. Okay,
they have a good tight end in Georgia already.
Yeah, he transfers to Georgia, and we only included 2 tight ends in 2023. There are 2 more, pretty okay. We'll cover them later, but one of them also goes to Georgia. So they already have a tight end who's going to be picked in probably round 2 of this draft or round 3 of this draft. So maybe. Because he didn't want to
semi-blocked
tight end there, but I guess he really wanted to go to Georgia.
Is that a real reason though? I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, you're totally off base. I mean, I can see that, but like at the same time, I don't think an NFL team, you know, who's telling him. Maybe a lot of people have the wrong guy in their ear. That's for sure. But I mean, is he really like, okay, like if I'm a tight end, I'm not going to get drafted. I'm going to get drafted in round 6 versus round 2 or round 4.
He would be a round 1 guy.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We just saw Noah Fant and Hawkinson, right? Was that the 2?
Yeah, those are the 2.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think that's that. And then we see every Alabama wide receiver going round 1. Like, I don't know if that's the reason. I'm saying maybe did they make him do that for? I don't know. It's like a weird that's the only thing
I'll look into that
came to my mind, right?
Future update.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to find out. He hasn't taken any interviews in a while, you know.
This is about money, and like let's not vilify it or anything. Like when you're talking about difference of $2.5 million, like don't come with BS. Everyone in this room would be like, all right, well, I'll increase my chances of getting $2.5 million if I'm gonna change 2 letters like in my position, right? Like it's easy. So
money is the motivator.
That's all I can think. Like, because I think tight end franchise tag is way less than wide receiver franchise tag. I think guys like Jimmy Graham were fighting for that. Like Jimmy Graham's like, look, I'm basically a receiver here. You know, if you're gonna franchise tag me. I think this was maybe his last year on the Saints. I'm not sure. I'm totally going off memory. I could be off base, but Jimmy Graham is like, hey, I'm a wide receiver. Franchise me as a wide receiver. And they're like, no, we're going to franchise you as a tight end. But he's like, look, according to PFF, you know, I'm split out wide 2/3 of the time. Like, shut up. So it's like, is that the reason why he's, or maybe it's just like he's a wide, maybe he's truly a wide receiver. I don't know. You guys should know more than me.
Here's the answer to your question though. For 2021, the franchise tag for wide receivers was $15.9 million. Whereas in the tight end market, it was 9.6.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big difference right there.
It's almost twice as much. That's
huge. It's kind of like Rattler though. Like we were making the point, and I know I fumbled through that part, but basically he could either stay the backup this year and then commit after this year and probably be a lesser draft pick, make lesser money, have a lesser opportunity, and maybe have to like fight his way through, or he could transfer, and he probably will, to another school where he's basically going to get the chance to start, rebuild his draft stock, and re-enter next year and give us another prospect to talk about 2023. So yeah, money could be it. Money could be it.
Money
I
could
mean,
definitely be.
I'm reading a comment. I don't understand the comment at all that Fishing wrote, so I don't know. I was gonna
he
bring
said
I
2
don't-
million is nothing for sponsorships. The number one, sponsorships.
I just made up I'm doing a podcast. I just made up
Made up a
$2.5
number,
million. It's an
yeah.
arbitrary number I just made up off the top of my head. So I don't understand your comment, Fishing. I don't know. So, Drew brought up the real numbers with the franchise tag, which is what, like $8 million difference between tight end and
it's like
wide
16
receiver.
versus 9.5. So that's it's a lot of money.
That's
there.
I mean, that's what I'm.
Well, I will add this one last thing, right? So, you know how we say Kyle Pitts is really a wide receiver playing tight end?
That's what I say for sure.
That's kind of what Eric Gilbert is, and maybe he sees that in himself as well. Which, if he does, I don't blame him because that's really what he is. And maybe for that could be part of it, like saying like, hey, you know what? I'm like a wide receiver, the tight end position. There's more money. Let me just play wide receiver. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll hope that he gets on the field though, at least next season, so we can get a better look at him for sure.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys want to go over a couple of trades that we saw in our own league today? We're all in the Empire League, so maybe we should cover a couple of these.
By the way, Empire League is a dynasty league that if the champion wins back-to-back, if it was the champion's crown back-to-back years, the league essentially ends, and then we can scrap the whole league, or we can just keep the same people and just redraft all over again.
No, I have to be honest with you guys and maybe apologize. I just literally just grab these before the show, so these might be out of order. You guys tell me.
Yeah, this is the second one that I made.
Okay, so let's do a different one first.
Where's the first one?
Let's do that.
This is the first one that Sushane made with. I know he might still be listening from Cincinnati, Amar, our friend in the league.
Yeah,
I'll let you go over it, Sushane, since you made the trade.
Yeah, sure. So I was in a pretty tough spot, right? Going into the season, I knew that I was one piece away from really having a dynamite team. So I gave Couch my 2023 rookie first, which is basically like, in my opinion, like, once you give that up, you're saying my future is mortgaged, right?
Yeah.
So
like I did
I gave that up to get J.K. Dobbins, and then I later acquired Gus Edwards. I got really crappy luck. Both of them went down. And again, after I got him, and because I put myself in that situation where like my future was gone here, I got to make something happen. Like I'm 2-4, I think, in the league. I got to win. Right. So I only had 2 quarterbacks, which is in a super flex. That's just straight up a no. Right. Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. Cousins is on a bye. So I said, okay, let me trade Dobbins. Let me trade Gus. I think Amar actually just shot this offer to me. And I said, you know what?
Another Jets wide receiver?
Another Jets wide receiver to him.
Oh, God. He's got a soft spot for that.
Oh, yeah. The Denzel Mims episode still lives on.
Oh, I got him so bad. I said, Denzel Mims touchdown. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, no, bro, there's no way. No. I was like, oh, typo. I meant to say Pat Freiermuth touchdown. Sorry. Denzel Mims not scored any touchdowns. No touchdowns in games.
That's best steps.
By the way, it's infamous here on the podcast. I traded away Denzel Mims to get Pat Freiermuth. I also got a pick in return.
I was gonna say you got something on top.
Yeah. Hey, this meal's not salty enough. Let's add a little bit of spice to it. A little bit of salt. But boom. It wasn't. I had to pour salt on the trade wound, right? I had to just pour a little salt on there. Like it wasn't spicy enough. I had to get a little trade. I had to get a draft pick in there. Let's go. All right.
I actually think
so Amar sent me this, and I got the quarterback. I'm like, all right, it makes sense. Like I'm getting like, okay, Dobbins is absolutely 0 for my roster this year. Mixon solid, Carson Wentz. And then as I'm doing that trade, I think I'm talking to another guy, Gene, as well.
Gene's getting freaky in the DMs. Gene wants to make a move. He's antsy. This is the most antsy guy in our league, right? Ben's the most
off really bad, by the way.
Ben's the most ghost.
Yeah.
Gene's the most antsy. I need to make a trade. Who's awake? I'm in Germany. This is an international league, by the way. We got guys in Germany and South Africa, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Like we got guys everywhere.
We got everywhere. It's good.
Yeah.
So you immediately flip Mixon.
Yeah, so as I'm making that trade, as it's happening, right? I just DM him being like, "Hey, I actually might make a move," and I tell him what it is, and he sends me a DM back saying like, "Oh, I was trying to get Mixon from him for the longest time," and I said, "Oh, you're trying to get Mixon? Okay, well, wait a second. Now I have Mixon.
Oh my
Up to me."
goodness.
So then
That's great.
we got this deal done here, which I really wanted to offload Julio Jones, right? Getting older and everything. So I said, hey, you know what? I like Damian Harris. He fits that running back I can fit in and slot in as my starting lineup. And I am pretty thick at running backs, by the way. I do have some options ahead of him. But I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to get Mike Williams, younger receiver than Julio, Juju Smith-Schuster on IR. I'm getting him for cheap. I think I like both of these moves that I made in the league. I know Couch made one too.
What's Mike Williams' future though? He's a franchise tag.
Yeah.
He's got Herbert, who's an absolute stud. I mean, that's what's going to happen. They got to keep him, right? They got to find a way to sign him.
He's built so well. Like, he's looking dominant this year. Like, I would think they got to keep him or something, right?
Everyone was complaining about franchise tagging Mike Williams. Like, you guys are stupid. And I mean, he's obviously the number one option there. You know, him and Eckler is basically the main pieces of that offense.
He's only 27 too. I mean, that's still in his prime.
Yeah.
I love him as a prospect. I always really liked him as a prospect.
Yeah.
So
the goal is to get a little younger and also retain that win now mentality. So I think I kind of accomplished that still, even though, you know, Mike Williams' future maybe with his
so I didn't like this trade at first. I actually thought this was really dumb on your part, Shane.
Okay, that's fair.
But after looking, you know, after the first, you know, it's like a food, right? That stinks. But then you're like, man, I kind of like how this tastes. Yeah. It's kind of from far away. Okay. Like, remember I had
gets a second round pick.
I get the better second round pick because I went from a late 22.
That's what I was right about to say.
Yeah.
This is actually the main part of the trade was that you traded seemingly the same pick, but upon further inspection, you traded a 2022 away to get a 2023. And are you saying it's going to be a late 2022?
Yeah, so the guys 2022 I gave is in like first or second place, and Gene is in almost dead last, and I got his second.
Gene's team is trash, so
I'm celebrating, man. Yeah.
Gene's like his car is like it's really janky. You know, I like how there's different slang terms for over here. We call it a hoopty. Other play, what do people call it? A jalapa?
Jalapa?
Not janky. You can say to anything,
what
but I'm talking specifically
in Germany?
like a bad.
Gestapo?
No, dude, family friendly. Just, what are you doing? We're gonna get banned. We're gonna lose all our sponsors.
Sorry.
So Gene's driving that car and it's falling apart and what, but he's always like, he just keeps getting in the car and driving it. You know what I mean? He's always starting like, dude, just ride a bicycle, like do something.
Me in the draft
just walk, just walk for 3.5 hours. So this is so like me. I always got hope. Never count me out. Like, and I mean, I'm not gonna win this year. I'm totally tanking, but see, I know what I'm doing. You know, I got it. There's a road ahead for me. It's just gonna take me, 2 to 5 years to get there. Gene, like he just keeps starting the engine. He keeps hitting the gas. He's embarrassing. You know, any passengers are embarrassed on the Autobahn. Like everyone's like honking at him. Like, get off the road. Like, is that even a real vehicle? Like, that's his team. Like, his team's always he's doomed. He's never gonna get it's always gonna be a bad pick or a good pick for Gene. Finish bad. He's gonna finish towards the end and get a good pick.
I traded his pick next year to Scout to get Antonio Gibson. So Scout's got that pick next year.
Speaking of Antonio Gibson's doomed too.
Oh my god!
Looks like the Chargers curse is left. Washington curses. Oh my god! It got twice as strong this year. Twice as strong. One of my favorite YouTube comments was on my rankings that it was more due to injury, so I'm not even going to take credit for it. Someone said CeeDee Lamb would never, ever, ever outscore Terry McLaurin last week. And I was like, well, Washington football team. As you guys know, CeeDee Lamb, I think, finished as the best wide receiver.
Or something.
Yeah, best wide receiver. Terry McLaurin and the Washington football team just, totally just laid an egg. I mean, this Washington football, bro, this team is legit cursed ever since Snyder took over. Like, it's like I can go year by year and be like, cursed this year, cursed that year, cursed this year. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like Antonio Gibson's talented. It's just a series of bad luck. I don't know. I'm not trying to come up with an excuse for the guy that I was pushing. Like, that's just legitimately how I feel.
Yeah, I think he's still got the talent, but it's been just a nightmare.
Yeah, series of injuries.
Got to be bad too.
Yeah.
Just everything. Yeah, I mean, just piling on. And
Couch, would you hold, sell, or buy him? What would you do in Dynasty?
Well, in Dynasty, I mean, honestly, man, right now, I don't want anything to do with Washington football team. I mean, even their defense is bad. I remember when Scout drafted like the Washington football team when we did our startup. And I was like, oh man, that's a cool pick for Dynasty. Turns out it's like the worst defense. I mean, the only other than the Falcons, it's like the worst team. Texans are better than the Washington football team defense.
That's yikes! Wow,
that's sad. Do you want to get to your trade? I have it up here too, although I probably cut it out very weirdly.
I love my trade. I think I'm very
nailed this one too.
I was very conscious about this, and I was thinking a lot about it. But for me, this is what happened with this trade. I hate Tua. So any opportunity where I don't have to talk to people a lot and I can ship them off, right? I can just put I can put them on eBay for a buy now. There's no auction or nothing. Like, I just put him on eBay and he gets sold right away. I was gonna do it.
Top shot.
Yeah, just boom. Yeah, just get right away
at the lowest ask.
Right away, get sniped. Yeah, I put him up and he gets sniped right away. So I was like, I'm gonna jump at this opportunity. So I traded away Tua, a crappy 5th round pick and a 3rd round pick, and I received Sam Darnold, Mecole Hardman, and a 2024 2nd rounder. So I traded away both the picks I traded was 2024. So I couldn't get rid of Tua faster. I mean, I just hate him. Like, I don't have any. I don't know. Maybe it was emotional. I don't know. But I just, every time I see Tua, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I have to get lucky. I feel like a miracle has to happen for this kid to play well and have a successful career.
He paid max value for him. That's what you got out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
the max value.
So Tua's a year younger. I guess you could say he's more injury prone. I think that's fair. I'm not going to call him flat out injury prone, but I'll say he's much more injury prone than Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold started off great, first 2-3 games, been playing worse. But I mean, Tua, he's had one good game against a great matchup. And I mean, the team, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm ecstatic. I'm getting Sam Darnold's a guy that I don't like. But Tua's a guy that I absolutely hate, and I'm terrified.
The lesser two evils.
Tua's Tua's like every slasher flick combined. Like, he's like the boogeyman. He's like Mike Myers. He's like Freddy. I mean, I can't sleep. I can't carve a jack-o'-lantern. Every Friday the 13th, I'm like looking over my shoulder if there's a dolphin that's gonna stab me. Like, I mean, it's terrifying. Like, this guy. I mean, he's
happy Halloween, right?
He's not been good. Like, he's terrible. With Sam Darnold, like, yeah, I mean, he's a scary dude as well, but it's like, I feel like he's gonna have a job. I don't know what's gonna happen with Tua. I mean, I'm rooting for him as a human. But other than that, I was so glad to ship Tua away. So I like this trade for me.
Yeah, me and Drew were actually DMing each other about this earlier in the day. I thought that you got, again, the better pick, obviously, 2nd compared to 3rd, 5th. I thought you just got the better quarterback because I still have Darnold ahead of Tua, which, I mean, maybe that's a strong opinion. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't know. But in my opinion, you just got the better quarterback, better pick, and a receiver for junk, right? So I thought this is another complete win for you after, one of those, like, Freiermuth, Denzel Mims type stuff, This better player, better pick.
Yeah, it's actually got to the point because I see people in our Discord that post like, look at all these draft picks I have. Look at all like mine. They posted in the memes. We have a memes channel and they post Look at how many draft picks I
I
have.
got like 14 for 1 year. Yeah.
Mine is twice as big than theirs.
Oh yeah,
It's
Ooh.
not. Yeah, go look at mine. I own every pick. Every draft pick is mine, and so
I
got 2 first in 2023. I know that.
Well,
that's good. Keep
mine in jeans.
I have so many picks. It's insane. So I'm already thinking ahead. I'm gonna have roster problems, and so what I'm trying to do is sell a lot of my lower picks. I'm trying to get rid of a lot of these 4th and 5th rounders. You know, I'll give you a 4th and a 5th, you know, and another 5th and another. I don't care. And another 4th. Give me your 3rd, you know, give me your 2nd, because I know I'm going to have roster troubles. Because believe it or not, I actually have good dynasty teams. And when you have good dynasty in other leagues, not this one, this is the league I'm tanking in. In other leagues, it's very hard to make roster cuts. And so I know that's going to happen. Like, I know. I'm just very confident I'm going to crush it in these rookie drafts. Like even if I draft at random or just go off and any normal ranking, even sleeper rankings, I should be able to hit, since I got several 1st round picks and several 2nd round picks for the next 3 years. I should be able to fit. Oh yes, we are doing. We're answering questions now.
We had a question here earlier from Matt C. I'll read it. It says, just traded Swift and Kittle for Aaron Jones and Hunter Henry. It's a PPR league. What are our thoughts?
So this is probably redraft. Matt, let us know if this is redraft, and I'm going to assume this is redraft.
Unless they say, we got to assume.
Redraft. Yeah, most of our crowd is a redraft crowd. Just traded Swift and Kittle for Aaron Jones and Hunter Henry. I like to side with Swift and Kittle, but I think it's a fair trade.
I like the Aaron Jones side, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah, just because you have Hunter Henry for games, I
mean, we're missing Kittle for how many more games? 2?
1.
And we're just talking about a Lion.
Just 1.
Oh, okay. Just 1?
Just 1 probably. Well, minimum is 3, so I think he'll be back sooner than later. Now, the plus, I like that side better. The plus side is that Aaron Jones and Hunter Henry are healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about Swift and Kittle's health. So it's not just right now. It's that Swift and Kittle have history as well.
I think if we read his comments, though, he's saying he traded Swift and Kittle and he got Aaron Jones.
Oh, we don't care about Matt. We just care about the side. So just tell her what side is good. It could be Matt or it could be his buddy Gregory. Just give it to him. Who cares? Maybe Gregory will. So you like the side with Aaron Jones.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and
still pretty close though.
I didn't mean to rush you out of that one.
I like the side with Kittle just a little bit more, but it is. I feel like it is even.
So here's Bopucks. I'm going to read this one since it's a long one. It says, my 14-man PPR lineup is Kyler, Jefferson, Ridley, A.J. Brown, Hawkinson, Gibson, CEH. If I traded CEH and a bench player for Chubb or Montgomery for a 2-1, would I be set for season? It's always hard to say with injuries popping up at any point.
Go get Chubb.
Is
this even a question? Go get Chubb. Who heck wants Clyde Edwards-Helaire on their team? I have his helmet. So this is great. This is great news for me. This is going to go up. This price of this, whatever this is going to go up. I have a signed 4-net picture. I thought that was worth $0. Hey, it went up. What are I going to do? But I'm telling you right now, nobody wants Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Kareem Hunt's placed on IR, right? He's going to be out several weeks. Chubb, are you kidding me? Did you not just watch Dearness Johnson and Felton even? Like, come on, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is Derrick Henry Jr. I'd want Derrick Henry Jr. for sure. It's not even a question. So Montgomery's a little bit more freaky. That's if you're into that type of stuff. That's a little bit. That's a little bit risque. That's a little bit like showing up to the bedroom and your significant other being like, I don't know about this. I don't know, David Montgomery. I don't know. Matt Nagy's watching in the corner.
Red flags. Red flags.
Matt Nagy's in the corner just watching with his, with his weird facial expression. I don't know about
his headset on.
Too risky. Yeah, risque. Very risque.
Very risque.
Sushane is a former Chicago Bears fan. He knows what's up. It's very risque.
Very risky. Yeah. Very risky in Chicago.
I wanted to bring this up. We did forget about Amar's trade earlier in this week, so I remember it. He traded
Yeah.
away Matthew Stafford, Jamar Chase, and he received Trevor Lawrence and T. Higgins.
I thought.
Whoa.
I mean, I thought Scott won. I thought you lost that trade.
I mean, he's commenting that he won that one too. So what do you guys think about that? So
I think you lost that.
I wish
trade.
I could pull that up.
Well,
What
it's
are
an
your thoughts
easy
on it?
trade. It's Stafford and Chase for Trevor Lawrence and who?
And T. Higgins. T. Higgins.
I
They
mean,
swap Bengals wide receivers, basically. Swap quarterbacks also.
Stafford and Chase is the obvious win here.
So
I think so.
I told Scout, because in the chat he goes, "Oh, it's basically just Chase for Trevor Lawrence."
Don't worry about
And
what
I was
he
like,
says.
"Go, you
Because
are
people,
whatever."
I'm a master fantasy psychologist. So people, when they make a trade, they always defend the other guy's side, so they don't look like. What are they gonna say? Oh, we cheated and colluded. I got the better side. No one ever says that, right? Oh, we cheated, we colluded. I trade raped him. No one will ever say that. So he says. So it's just natural. Like, you know what? That's why, I just shut off the chat. Like, as soon as Scott started talking, I already knew he's gonna defend the other guy. I shut off the chat. Yeah, I already knew what was coming. Like, I knew what was coming. Like,
That's great.
I've been playing fantasy for a long time. I read a lot of these. Like, I've been reading you guys on Twitter for years. Like, I knew what was coming. It's not a terrible trade by any means. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is much younger, but you're getting Matt Stafford with Sean McVay, and you're getting Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase in a full PPR dynasty league where we can start 3 or 4 wide receivers is so valuable.
Yeah.
It's, and then you're getting Matthew Stafford, who's going to be elite for 5 years. Like, it's a quarterback. So it's like, you can make this. So Trevor Lawrence is like, I'm a huge fan of Trevor Lawrence and I like it, but he is on the Jaguars. We know how every single Jaguars quarterback turns out. It's not, that's just not saying that's how Trevor Lawrence is going to turn out, but that's one negative against him. And it's something you have to count.
Except Mark Brunell. He was pretty good. But that's one of a bunch.
I mean, I disagree. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not as big of a Brunell fan as other people. Like, I don't.
But you got the point of, like, there is nobody on that history of
Like,
line of quarterbacks that you can point to except him, and that's not even that good.
I think it all ended bad all Jaguars ended bad in some way.
I think he played for the Redskins on his way out. Maybe that's where the curse started.
He did, yes. But you get Trevor Lawrence. I feel like you can find that type of fantasy production at quarterback from maybe Trey Lance,
Sam Darnold,
maybe Justin Fields in the future. Probably not Sam Darnold. I
Danny
just traded
Dimes.
for on a good every other game,
every other week.
Yeah, depends on the Giants are having a lot of bad luck, but
oh god, their injury bus is
so
up.
the trade is not lopsided, but this is definitely more of a future trade for you. You got Trevor Lawrence on the Jags. We got to see what happens with that. I think that's the thing is 100% of people agreed that Stafford and Chase was the better side.
Yeah.
Well, he's happy about it. So let's move on. I had this question.
He says T-Law to the moon. I say Stafford's already at the moon.
Bingo.
Ooh.
There we go.
And so is Chase. And Chase is a rookie.
Yeah.
So you got 2 guys that you think are going to the moon, and he's got 2 guys that are already on the moon having a party.
Dang, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, that's just my rebuttal to Amar. But not a horrible trade, Amar. Not a horrible trade by any means. We just like the other side more.
All right. So Tyler says, I traded Damian Harris and a 2023 second-round pick for Noah Fant and a 2022 third. Sorry. I already had 3 2023 seconds, so now I still have 2 left. It's more of a statement than anything. But I think he wants to know.
It's too many numbers for me.
I think what you did there, though, by trading Damian Harris and your 2023 second to get no fan, is you're probably trying to open your window a little sooner, right, Sushane? By basically trading.
I think Harris is a running back and has his lifespan or career span. It's going to be
3 years.
I think it's going to come off. Yeah, it's going to kind of go on a cliff here. So I think that's what
maybe sell high
he's going for. And then Noah Fant, is very coveted in dynasty circles.
Yeah, he's definitely upgrading though with getting Noah Fant for getting rid of Damian Harris
Yeah,
there
he is upgrading
without giving up
there.
too much.
I mean, he's also kind of significantly downgrading because, like, in my opinion, like that 2022 third is going to be a droppable player completely. Just scratch that off the trade, kind of. And whereas like a 2023 second might actually be a legit bench piece.
Oh, I honestly didn't catch the years. So
Yeah, so that's a good point Sushane's making. So he's
yeah,
saying,
that's a huge L for you. Just to be quite frank, we don't want to say
So-
that, but that's a huge L, bro. You're trading a 2023 early for a, and then you're getting a 2022 late.
Pure dart, yeah.
So, right now, I honestly don't even care about the players. I just care about the picks, and that's
Quite a
the
drop.
big, yeah. I mean, a 2020. This is what Shushane's telling me. 2023, whatever round pick, a second is basically like a first in 2022. A
Yeah,
2023
Oh, yeah.
third is like a second in compared to 2022.
Yeah,
so,
what he said basically is that guy in the third round in 2022 is droppable, probably. That he won't make much of an impact. That's a pretty big statement.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is just how it kind of goes. Hey, maybe we'll hit. Who knows?
So we got Bo Pucks with another question. He said, "I traded away Mike Evans to acquire Ridley. By the way, what a W, right?"
Yes.
Dynasty, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
That's an incredible
in any
W.
league. I think they're around the same age, roughly.
Evans,
Ridley he was just an older rookie.
Yeah, but as far as age, I think they're 0 years or 1 year apart.
Oh, I think there's a difference there. Let me find out.
Calvin Ridley is 26.
And Mike Evans is 28.
Okay, so it is a big difference.
That's a big win.
Well, in Dynasty I mean, what did you say?
I don't know why.
I don't know why you said any league. That's great.
That's just where my mind usually goes.
Best ball, Dynasty, redraft, keeper, any league. I would trade Mike Evans away to get Calvin Ridley. Are you kidding me? And if you
100%.
tune into the last podcast, was that the last one where I was pushing Calvin Ridley stock?
I think it was 2 of them ago because we were talking about Javonte last time, right?
I think it was every podcast I'm pushing. Go get Calvin Ridley. Now it was the last pod. It was last week. I pushed Calvin Ridley. Yeah. Pushing Calvin Ridley. He's getting more air yards, more targets. His stock is down. This is exactly what this guy did. Oh, he missed a game due to personal, bye week. That's crazy how that really lowers your stock.
Yeah.
It just lowers your hype at least.
Okay, so this is a question from the very beginning of the show, so I can only imagine that this is a redraft question. But
this
Sergio
guy's probably
says,
way tuned out by now.
Oh, he's gone.
He could be
in
bed, yeah.
Hey, watch this tomorrow morning, Sergio. When you
Sergio, are you here? Let us know.
Okay, what would you give up for Javonte Williams, Broncos running back, going forward, struggling at RB as well? I'm assuming he's saying he is, but stacked at wide receiver.
I can't even answer this question.
Well,
we're gonna answer this question
because we don't know who you have as a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is it's probably redraft. This is a terrible question you brought up.
Yeah, we would have to just pick names out of a hat, like in a range, basically for you, like in the.
What would be great is if
wide receiver 3 range, maybe.
Wide receiver traded before this game because Javonte Williams got bailed out by a touchdown. He didn't really do anything on the ground. But he was involved in the receiving game, and he got bailed out with the touchdown. And now, I mean, Javonte Williams truthers are very loud. And so now you're going to have – I think you would have to overpay is what if I'm just talking stock-wise. I think you'd have to overpay right now. And, I mean, why would you want to do that? I don't think you want to overpay. I like Javonte Williams. That's the thing. But I feel like – fantasy managers that have him on his team are going to want you to overpay. And I don't like that. Do we have any more fantasy questions? We're about to.
There was one more comment.
And then here, if we can squeeze in some more fantasy questions, if you have it, go ahead and type it in the chat. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll do, this wasn't as great on the live stream. Hopefully people will watch it on, the listen to the podcast, watch it on the replay. We're planning to do more Dynasty content. Also, hopefully we're going to do a draft guide during the off season. So really looking forward to that and just do more Dynasty content, more Devy content. We're still going to be redraft here it's going to be our number one thing, 12-team redrafts. But
Big time.
you got to always, try different things. We're seeing a lot more super flex leagues. We're seeing a lot more dynasty leagues, and we're seeing a lot more tight end premium leagues. And, I feel like this is the future. I feel like everyone's going to be playing dynasty. I mean, it already feels like that. Everyone's playing dynasty already, and it's just going to keep growing.
We can't forget about Rick. He's a great listener. So
he
says,
tunes in every live stream.
Yeah, he's great. So would you guys drop Hunter Renfrow or Kadarius Toney for AJ Green? I don't think I would drop Toney. I think I might drop Renfrow.
I would drop Renfrow. Renfrow is going to be such a low ceiling for you that, if he was a running back, I'd be like, oh God, keep him. You're going to need, but as a wide receiver, I don't think he's going to win you any matchups ever. And with a wide receiver, you have that luxury. I would definitely drop Renfrow. And then most people playing with leagues with IR spots, Toney is going to probably be able, you're probably going to be able to put him in IR if you have a spot too. So that's another huge plus. Yeah, I would drop Renfrow for random Cardinals wide receiver.
Yeah, I got to agree
Green's
too.
got a good matchup too against Houston. That's going to be favorable. Yeah.
And Kadarius Toney put up, I think, like 180 yards passing or receiving. I could look it up for us, but the idea is he can go off. And so if he is healthy and Daniel Jones can't stay upright, I think that was like 29 points for me in the Empire League. So, I mean, that's wild. If you can get that, that's a league winner kind of guy. Here's another question from Andrew. He says, thoughts on Miles Sanders' dynasty value? I traded for him at the start of the season, and Philly doesn't seem to be using him that much at the moment.
Everybody on Philly does nothing except for Jalen Hurts. And, once Goddard is healthy, maybe him. But man, this is a tough one. I'll let you guys.
I feel bad for Andrew. Honestly, like I really like Miles Sanders. I really like his running style. In his first season, he went off for like an 80-yard touchdown in his like first couple games.
I said he'd be a bust. I said he'd be a bust.
And I was loving him at that moment, thinking, hey, this is the next thing. And then, we get into this offense and he's got Jalen Hurts as the RB1. I don't know what you would do at this point other than just hold and hopefully either they change the offense around or he gets traded or, signs for another team when he's a free agent, which might be a year or two from now.
There's no hope with Miles Sanders because
the
Eagles defense is not good. So
they're going to be behind in games throwing.
Yeah, and I was looking at Vegas has projected them to have about 6 wins this year. I'm like, man, that's harsh. And now I'm like, okay, well, Vegas was really smart with this. Like 6 wins is looking like if they're lucky, they'll get 6. And with that type of game script, it's like it's all Jalen Hurts. And it's all, Gainwell every 4 games. Every 4 games, Gainwell's going to do okay. And it's going to be Jalen Hurts every game. I think Devontae Smith is going to ball out this week. But, I'm wrong on that a lot of times as well. He's up and down. I still have a lot of faith in Devontae Smith. I think he'll be good. But, let's face it, he's going to probably have 2 bad games and then a good game and 2 bad games and then a good game. That's probably what's going to happen. And I'm going to say with Miles Sanders, I just don't see a game script where it's going to be a Miles Sanders game. He's not, Stefanski's not the coach there. This is not the Cleveland Browns. And it's unfortunate, and I don't see him catching a lot of passes either. Like DeAndre Swift, like he's on the Lions, but when the guy gets 5 catches, I'm good. When he's a garbage time king, and Miles Sanders is not a garbage time king.
Gainwell
unfortunately,
is every 4 games.
Every 4 games. Asterisk every 4 games. I don't want to get a bunch of Gainwell questions that I don't want to be answering those.
Yeah, I feel like we're just dogpiling on the whole Eagles situation with this, but yeah,
well, it's just it is what it is. It's facts.
It's garbage.
Nobody's doing anything on that team except Jalen Hurts getting fantasy points. I mean, he's not even doing that well. He's just getting us some fantasy points. Other than that, it's horrible. Now, Rick says he has 1 IR spot. So
this is back to his Kadarius question.
Kadarius Toney could go on that IR spot probably in a day and a half. We got it. Hey, we got a subscriber from a redraft question, by the way. But it is what it is. We'll keep at it with the Dynasty. I love Dynasty, so I'm thinking maybe me and Sushane even go in on a high stakes.
Yeah,
maybe
that'll be fun.
Do you want to do best ball or normal?
Let's do normal.
Normal.
I like best ball.
He's gonna push you to best ball.
I want best ball for you. Look. So with best ball, I didn't know this with best ball. He's got a sales Dynasty. Pitch, by the way. You actually can add players during the season, and you can make trades. So only thing is no start sit, and that way I can have you. I can you save a little bit of your time.
Actually, I may be in on that.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
I might be in on that.
So you save a little bit of time and you go for upside. It's pretty fun. Like I'm not doing that. I drafted a pretty good team. I'm not doing that well in it this year, but I got Jalen Hurts for cheap. I got Derek Carr for cheap. The wide receivers that I thought nailed it didn't. I drafted Ayuk and Devontae Smith. They're not doing that well. Calvin Ridley's off to a slow start, but overall, I drafted a pretty good team. It's a lot of fun. I'm telling you, super flex, tight end premium, triple flex, best ball. It's kind of the way to go. That way, you save a little bit of time. You don't have to do any start sit.
Actually, because start sits have been killing me all year.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. We can do like $1,000 league.
Yeah, that'd be
and
insane.
I just let you manage it.
That's
you do whatever. You do all the trades for Let's do
it, man.
We draft the best part of fantasy. It's just hands down. Like I don't think anybody. Let me know if I'm wrong. Like anybody, the best part of fantasy football is the draft. To me,
100%
by far.
Best ball allows you to maximize that. I have literally 3 guys managing 3 of my leagues right now. Like it's insane to manage a bunch of leagues, but if you do best ball, it's way easier. Just I'm not saying make every single league best ball. Like, no, I didn't say that. But if you're adding another league to your resume, consider best ball. And I didn't know that best ball dynasty, you actually do make trades 24/7 and you do add and drop players. I didn't know that. I mean, that was a shock. I didn't want that. But I'm like, oh God, I got to manage another team. But it is fun. I
that
do
sounds
do
very
another
appealing.
draft.
You're right, Drew. You had a sales pitch, and it's definitely moving.
It's a good one, actually. I didn't hear that little twist that he now added in there. He never told me about the little wrinkle. That was a pretty
that was a little bit of a
not having to do the start sit, but being able to do the trades. I didn't know you could still do the trades.
Enticing.
Yeah, I mean,
the trading part is also that's the second most fun part, I think, after the draft.
Definitely.
Well, not for me, but
I know not for you.
In terms of Dynasty, though, I have to admit, like it is a must. In Dynasty, it's a big part of Dynasty. And I was like, oh, you can trade all year. Like I thought you can trade only during the draft. I didn't know because it's the first time I'm ever doing a Dynasty best ball. It's kind of new. It's like it's not caught on yet.
Oh, that's really new. Very new.
And it was, I mean, I posted on the Discord every week, like this is who I'm drafting. Like, what do you guys think? Like it was a lot of fun. It was intense. And let me tell you, once you do high stakes, you get better right away.
Oh, I bet.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like I'm good at basketball. Okay, you're playing by yourself on a kid's hoop. Like, of course you're great at basket. You're doing LeBron James dunks. Now, going like a real league, with some ballers. That's the only way you're gonna actually be like, whoa, okay, like this is how a real draft is. Like, oh, people are putting $500 on the line. Like, okay, like this is serious. Like it really helps you step up. I love getting whooped. I love it because it makes me think. Like I'm always up for a challenge in a competition. That's
slow
just
draft
how I
too,
am.
right? It's a slow draft.
I think it's gonna basically have to be a slow draft. Yeah.
You're not a fan of slow drafts though.
That's just because of my ADD though. It's not nothing against the slow draft itself.
Format.
I just have a lot of anxiety and stuff. And so when I have like this, it's like a ticking, like a tick, 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 tick for 2 weeks in my head. Like I wake up, oh, is it my turn? Is it like, I'm just like going crazy every day waking up.
I think I'm speaking for Sushane. I think he would love it just as or he would say he loved it just like I love slow drafts.
Oh yeah. It gives you more time to maneuver around, make in draft trades and everything.
Oh yeah, and then
They
in,
did the
Dynasty it
patient
does make.
waiting.
Oh yeah, these, and that's funny is, yeah, you don't know any of these guys, but it is a monitored league, and these guys are all about trades. Like if you remember the draft board, it
All
was
traded.
full of trades. I mean, there
Oh,
was
let's
2
go.
teams that had none of their picks. Like it was just all. It was all trades.
I'm guilty
I
doing that.
even made a couple trades. Like
Nice.
I mean,
Did they
you know,
offer you stuff, or did you offer
Oh,
them? How did it
all
work?
the no, dude, it was daily. Like, everyone was super nice. Everyone was super respectful, but they were going hard. I mean, they were sending me crappy trades. They were sending me good trades. They're sending me weird trades. Like every day there was action, and it was a slow draft.
See, that's the fun
That's
part,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it was.
That's the fun
it
part
was-
of a draft.
Actually, to me, the fun part was, I mean, yeah, but the competition. Like it was also like you have to deal. You know, it's like playing chess with your nephew, and now you're playing chess with like a world champion. You know, like it's like, oh god, like
Yeah.
you really got to
Gotta
think,
step it
because
up here. Yeah.
these guys, yeah, they're like literally no one in that league is a joke. Like they're all like they're all playing for first place, and you know, some people got deep pockets in that league. Like that's another thing you got to know. When you play high stakes, you're more than likely going to be playing against multiple rich people that don't really give a crap about losing $500.
No.
And that's also scary when people just don't care. They're like, oh, this is nothing for me. You know, I make $500,000 a year. Like this is nothing. This is play money. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
play
play money. So, you know, it's serious, but I love the high stakes. All right. We'll end it there. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you hit that like if you're on YouTube. Make sure you're following us. Subscribe to the podcast. Podcast is everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple, Stitcher, Google Podcast. What's that? Tune in. It's literally Spotify. There we go. Literally everywhere. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a review. Helps the podcast out a lot. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.